Wait.
Jesus. Christmas. Criminy whatnots. Hi, everybody. We're not having any difficulties. Everything is going swimmingly. I don't even know why you're asking about such things. How do I start? Oh, what's up to our sidekicks and henchmen out there in the Mother Loving Geek Nation? Welcome to the Uncanny CultPop podcast, episode 3, legacy numbering
805.
805.
Episode 4?
What?
Episode 4.
This is episode 4?
You were on the next one.
You're on the wrong notes.
Yeah.
I'm on the wrong notes.
Why would you even open that?
We're doing it live.
Doing it live. Listen, hey guys, I was just thinking about you, and I'm glad you're here. I'm your host, Johnny Destructo. You can call me Jadles, JD. I'm your host.
Yes, you are.
I'm from Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street, Philadelphia, PA.
Get that plug in.
Get that? Yeah, listen, it's a comic book store, and it's barely swimming above water. It's gulping huge amounts of water. So if you want comic books, come to me and buy them, and I'll sell them to you. And that's how capitalism works.
All the best openings have a little bit of sad in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with me this week is Brian.
Hey. Hi. How are you? He was looking at me.
He hates it when I call him Leonard.
I like your boy. This is Len, aka the Bat Tribble.
The Bat Tribble. What was I? I was the
You were Twip Tribble.
Twip Tribble. Yeah. Anyway, we have emails, and we're going to do a trivia game a little later.
Mm-hmm.
And our main review is going to be Frank Miller's Ronin from 1983. It's a graphic novel. Does it count as a graphic novel? We'll get to that a little bit later. But first, we have I'm going to read it to you right this second. Chadwick and Smallville and hate watching. So I think what Christopher has done is that while listening to the previous podcast episode, he just took notes. And I think this is a list of some notes that he has taken.
So here are the thoughts of Christopher.
Now, why didn't he say it at the time, right? He and all of you can interact with us chatting, and we love when it happens.
That's true.
We may or may not be able to respond to that tonight.
Not through any problems that we're having technically.
No, I'm not sure if we can. I don't know the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just being belligerent.
Chris knows exactly what he's doing. If he puts it into the chat, then
Yeah.
we can be selective about which ones we respond to.
That's true.
Putting it into an email,
Yeah.
he knows at least it will be shared to the world.
I mean,
I'm on to you, Christopher. I'm back and I see you.
I have a tendency to sometimes just skip some stuff, though. As for, I'm going to skip stuff right now. Smallville was garbage. They couldn't decide if they wanted him to be Cal or Khan, pairing him. Put on the suit was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm gonna push back on that.
Okay.
That you just didn't the premise of the show altogether. You're nitpicking on stuff that it's not.
True.
And you're mad that it's not your comics.
Well, no. I see what he's saying. I had some of the same issues with Smallville. Kids, ask your grandparents what Smallville was. It was a while ago. But I also pushed back a little bit on the fact that this was all before he became Superman, and yet we had Doomsday.
Yeah. Well, because it went on
like
so
that.
long.
Yeah.
Right. It went on. They couldn't have him become Superman because then it was a completely different show.
Yeah.
But as it kept going and he got older and out of high school, it's like, here's Brainiac, here's Doomsday, here's everybody that he will meet at one point or another.
But then eventually you go, or at least I go, it's like every other movie or TV show, it's a multiverse version of it. So you're not going to get the comics.
Right. And the whole...
It does what it wants at that point.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's fine.
And the Bart thing and whatever, I didn't see that as them trying to make him Connor or Con-El, but rather like, we're going to use this version of the Flash.
Yeah.
And we're going to use that version of
That's
Green
what they
Arrow,
do all the
you know?
time.
I did like that version of the Flash with the hoodie.
He was cool.
Yeah.
And that was like, was that the first time that we saw...
Yeah.
It was cool.
I mean, you didn't do from the 90s Flash.
All right, I forgot.
So Wally's
Dawson Leary.
effects were
so
not
good, yeah.
what we think.
He
today.
continues, I definitely hate watching seasons of Runaways.
Yeah.
There were 3 seasons of Runaways. I actually one of the leads on that show, Ryan Sands, is a big fan of my. Been on there a couple of times, and
Make him watch this.
Are you doing our season rewatch with him for the Motion? Which is a side podcast. Watch the 3 seasons of
the 3 seasons of Runaways.
His career would be great.
No, I'm not going to do that to the man. He's a good friend to the show.
Who was he on the show?
He was
Wilder?
He like the one black kid that had the glasses.
Yeah,
he was
Wilder.
his father.
Wilder.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
he was
father.
the dad.
Yeah, I can't
Oh,
remember
wow.
his character's
Still last
name.
name. Cool.
Gotcha.
Wilder.
As
Good
for the
point.
Flarrowverse, I guess he means Flash plus Arrowverse.
Mhm.
And the ending of Arrow killed all excitement I had for it. I stopped watching Flash, Legends, Supergirl, and Black Lightning right after.
Huh?
Superman and Lois is still dope. Like you should watch Black Lightning. Have for decades. It was depressing and just not good. I also like Chris Williams. I was surprised when he showed up. I was like, oh, cool.
A lot of people know him as the love interest of Queen Latifah on Living Single. That's
Oh, really?
Oh,
that was a long time ago.
shit.
Oh, okay.
Ask your ancestors. How do you feel about variant covers? But it seems some companies go overboard. IDW and Dynamite stick out to me. I get having multiple covers for the first issue or even having 2, but Gargoyles having 6 or 7 covers. As a retailer, I find them to be very frustrating. I think, especially because for people who don't know, sometimes variant covers have sales quotas that you have to meet in order to even get one of them. So there are variant covers where I have to order 25 copies of Batman. Come in just wanting specific covers because they think it's going to be worth money. It's on that comic book collecting app.
Yeah,
I forget what it's called. And they're like, oh, that's going for money on eBay. You should go get one. And they're like, hey, can I get some of that variant cover that you have to spend way too much money to get?
yeah.
No. It's very frustrating. But I do like alternate covers. So I distinguish between variant covers and alternate covers. Variant covers are ones that you have to order a certain amount of to get one copy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alternate covers, like DC has been alternate cover, probably not going to go up in price. They're both the same price. DC, not so much. Cover with they've taken the title treatment out of the comic book cover, and it's basically just one big painted image, which is very, so you lose, like, what's the name of the book? So yeah, variant covers, because there are some artists that I like the variant covers from, like J. Scott Campbell, I think.
I am similarly frustrated by, because they are harder to get, right? So I being present, right? No to buy them, whatever. It's cool if there's options and what have you. But if it's harder to get because they're made to be rare, and I know why they do it, but it's frustrating. It's like, I just like that cover. I think it's cool and I'd like it. So usually in those cases, I just get the regular comic, and then I save that image on my phone.
Yeah.
And I never look at it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually got a call today for his very specific variant cover, and that's one with Eminem and Spider-Man doing a rap battle.
A rap battle.
Yeah. But you can only get them on Eminem.com.
They've been
Sure.
sold out since this third minute that they were on sale.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, someone was like, hey, can I get it? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No,
If you
can't.
go to
Sorry.
Eminem.com.
Yeah.
You can go to Amazon.com and see exactly how fast
What it
they
looks
sold
like.
out.
So he's
Yeah.
got his own .com. It's just called Eminem.com.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
One of the world's most famous rappers, yes, has a website.
No, and I'm surprised that he has a website. It's just, I don't know.
You sounded surprised.
Yeah. Oh, he has. He's the only in the world.
Who drove him?
The information superhighway. Who took him there?
I don't know what I thought of being.
Easy. It's
I
just you-
also have BrianLeeb.com.
well,
He goes on, JD plan on de-aging Kai at some, or will you hand the Destructo mantle down to him when you get so old you have to use a mech suit to sell comics?
yes.
Will I de-age Kai at some point, or will I hand the mantle down to
So
I
he's-
believe-
it's
Why would I need
it's
to
a-
de-age?
It's a legacy question.
Yeah.
So he's going to take over for you, but when it needs to be rebooted, does he get de-aged and you maintain?
You stay
Do you mean
young
do I
forever.
get de-aged?
You'd also be de-aged.
Both
Right.
of you would end
Yeah.
up being de-aged because like he'll take over, but then
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
He didn't put it very well.
No,
Um,
and you
the
might be
second
less
act has to keep
de-aged.
going.
Just
What's
be
that?
prepared for that.
Yeah.
You might be not as younger.
essentially
Yes.
what's
Yeah.
happening at Superman right now. Or Batman. It's like, oh, Batman looks like he's only 35, but he's sired 15, 25-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. I'm just going to pass it down.
Yeah,
I'm gonna. Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So you're going to Jay Garrick it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to throw in my
Constructive.
silver helmet.
Have you actually thought about that? Like whether or not you to do
Are you? I'm sorry. It sounds. Phil, about whether or not your store is going to be open another week, another month.
And you say no. With
Yeah.
mixed drinks with life as my son takes over the shop.
I actually said to a customer the other day, store is still open and I'm still working there long enough.
You dying on the job?
Good night says I was at work that night and Carl.
man? I mean, no, I'm sorry.
Coral.
I'm
No words?
sorry.
Coral. Hi, Carl, and hi, Christopher. We have one more email before we get going. And
Whoa. We got another email.
we got another email.
Whoa.
When we said lots and lots and lots of emails, we usually mean one email,
Yeah.
but now we've got double.
with
that.
lots and lots of words.
Yeah. The Real Enemy is the name of it, and this is from Yogi Bear. This is a new emailer, and
JD.
I'm delighted that we have another emailer. Not that I don't love you, Christopher. Yogi Bear says, "Hey folks, I enjoy listening to the show, and I would really like to hear your thoughts on something."
You got to do this in the voice of Yogi Bear.
I'm not gonna do that.
guys?
I don't know.
Hey there, JD.
I went to see Black
Mostly just
Panther:
do the hey
Wakanda
and
Forever. Shut up.
Forever.
I went to see.
It's like Sylvester Stallone.
I went to see.
Yeah, you do it fast. Don't question it.
Oh, did you have a letter from a new listener that
Yeah,
we're
that
very
I'd like
excited
to-
to get?
Yeah, I
Was it-
would love
did
to
he-
keep
Can you
reading
read
it.
it?
Did
There's a
he
picnic
stop?
basket
did
in
he-
Wakanda.
He stopped stealing picnic baskets long enough to write you this letter.
I went to see Black
Hey there,
Panther.
JD.
You're gonna wait.
Can
till
we
he's
turn
come-
his mic off? How does this work?
You
Still
can't
coming
turn
in
him off
yours.
in your ear.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like right there.
I went to see Black Panther: Wakanda Forever this weekend. Definitely worth the price of admission, and thoroughly enjoyed it. However, I was left with one prevailing thought. I wonder if white people realize There's
The
more.
question of
I wonder
ages.
if white people realize that they are the true villains in the movie, even though it's never overtly represented. And if they do, how do they feel about it? I'll sit back and listen to your thoughts sincerely.
Yogi Bear.
There you go.
Does he? Do you?
They?
Yeah. They. Do you want? Realizes it, or the fictional white people MCU?
I think
'Cause I
we-
do.
I think he
realize
means
that-
the white. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought he meant just like. Oh, colonizers ruining everything for these two Christians.
Yeah.
They knew. Oh my.
Yes, I realized it.
Yeah. Of course.
I mean, that's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah.
Being able to kind of like have those discussions and
And-
realization.
Panther Wakanda Forever post.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
actually, yeah, that is too.
Yeah.
Like they, we understand because there's so much anger.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Um,
got you. I got
You know
No,
what I mean?
honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't perceive it that way. I thought the people who were the villains of the movie were white people, right? And the Spanish also, who are sometimes considered to be white people. I saw it as that kind of person
Mm.
is the villain of the movie, right? The people who barge in and take other people's stuff and do
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
Generally
You know,
white people.
Well,
yeah.
historically,
had-
mostly white people.
there is a lot of historical precedent
Yeah.
in the modern memory.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So that is for sure. And I see those people as the villains of this story.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I was watching it.
Mhm.
You know. So yeah.
So
It-
do we realize it? And then how do they feel about it? I mean, it's true, right?
Yeah,
It's a precedent. I mean, it's fictional, but it's also based on the real.
Well, there is. I
Oh.
hesitate to paint any race with a brush.
I
a piece of
do
and you
think
rip
I
a
do
little
think
bit.
okay, maybe
Gesso.
not paint with a brush, but I do think that you can tally up the atrocities
Sure.
on a global level
Sure.
and attribute it to specific types of characteristics of the kinds of people that do practice these atrocities, and
Right.
a larger
It's
swath of
people.
them would be
Mm-hmm.
white.
Oh yeah.
Which so
For
like I'm
sure.
not saying white
Yeah.
people devil, but white people should realize that
It's people in power.
their
right?
ancestry
In China,
have been in power
for sure,
and
yes,
have
exactly.
practiced atrocities. So
Right.
not saying recompense and feel guilty, understand it and shut
Yeah.
up if it's not for you.
For sure.
That's all.
I mean, but I also love Black Panther too.
Oh yeah. It was
Yeah. Is doing people right.
Yeah.
It's people in power.
Yeah.
And the fact that I want to ignore
Of characteristics would be in power.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly white people.
You know, I think that
I keep
But-
going, but it's
for
like
sure.
But
Pop
then
it.
those
Yeah.
two.
the
difference is that what I resist is of that genetic makeup or whatever.
no,
right?
no, no, white. What we're saying.
So, in
It is.
Marvel?
Actually. Well, no, it's
No,
White
Tiger.
Tiger.
White Tiger.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Oh, very
Yeah,
cool.
she
I've
puts
heard good things about that.
7 points
Yeah,
power
yeah,
in
yeah.
your card on the
I
other
love
side.
that. Anyway,
Yeah. Oh,
Sorry.
so
Reach around.
That's
Call it a reach
the-
around.
on it are white people, but set of qualities is ascribable to any group of people. Like those assumptions shouldn't necessarily be made, right? So yeah, it has largely been white people in modern memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so what
So-
Brian's saying is basically
Here we go.
hashtag not all white people. I'm kidding. I'm
No,
kidding.
Not
I'm
all.
kidding.
Yeah.
Terry, Terry laughing.
But in
Not all
a
white people are
non-shitty
evil.
way.
Not all white people are
Right.
evil, but a lot of
Right.
evil has been done by white people in power,
Absolutely.
and the movie recompenses with that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful
Yeah.
film. Loved it.
Yeah.
A lot of emotional.
You know what? We talked
beats.
about it last week, and I felt remiss that when talking about Namor, I didn't bring up the cool way that he flies, and he's kind of like running through
Oh.
the air
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like pivoting when he needs to, like you would if you were running. I thought that was really
the
cool.
wings look silly as hell,
Yeah,
but he is a force to be reckoned with in that movie. The
Yeah.
way he just
yeah.
disables ships and everything. He's badass in that
Yeah.
movie. He's
I mean,
freaking-
but
Compare
the idea of him having wings on his ankles, I guess, is silly if you don't. At least they put them. His wings up.
Little baby, but
They're
also
like
too
decoration.
the
and
the is usually or here and there. They actually
Mhm.
so
Like
it
they're-
was, yeah, it was
Yeah, yeah.
holding him up opposed
Exactly.
to like
Yeah.
I'm floating now, I am flying now. See somebody
Mm.
holding themselves up on rings
Mm.
because it's not. I mean, I thought that was really impressive, like
Yeah.
the way that they. Like pivoting in the air. I was like, that would be cool.
I thought it
wouldn't have.
absolutely-
Yeah.
So dope.
Yeah.
Oh,
thank you.
Yogi Bet, thank
Yeah.
you, and Christopher Goodnight. We really appreciate it. Broadcasting from the Maniac studio.
This beautiful.
But they do have to pay their Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Hey, so the CultPop logo, which should be up here, is our little soda can friend that I drew.
Mhm.
And he's been with us for a long time, but unfortunately,
On.
Uh-oh.
Now we are.
Our thoughts about
Okay.
Tim Canman will be
lost
revealed later.
So here comes the part of the show where I say
The fetus started stopping again. Robert Monroe, we know we're working
on
it through. Whatever you didn't hear, either the quick recap, give us names for our logo.
Tim Canman.
Tim Canman
Tim-
or something.
So far, the suggestions have been Tim Canman,
Tim Canman.
That's the one to beat.
Fitz Popplestein, or Popplestein.
Yeah.
Advocating for a real name.
That's pretty good.
Popplestilskin.
I ask each of us, what you been up to this week, huh?
That's
Huh?
not what you say.
Huh?
Huh?
JD.
You.
I'm first up.
Self-reflect.
Hey, JD. What you been up to this week? huh?
So
Well,
awesome.
I'll tell you. So Noel has been telling us for weeks now that Andor, the new Star Wars show on Disney Plus,
Mm.
is the bee's knees. And I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes, and I was like, all right, it's a bee, it's got knees, it's fine. I don't know if it's the bee up.
Haven't gotten past episode 3.
He asked me at 4 a.m. Hey JD, did you watch Andor?
That can go on.
Yeah.
You're playing it. Have you ever seen Fright Night? I
It's
hover
Yeah, he's on
and
the
just tap
third
on it
floor.
like ding, 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 ding.
And I'll tell you, I did watch Andor. Weird today, but then someone showed up. I don't want to name any names, but so I didn't get a chance to finish it. But I gotta say, Sushan and I, my wife and I, have been watching it, and the more we watch it, the more in we get. We've really started enjoying it. We actually started looking forward, like, oh, we should go home and watch Andor. We're both enjoying it. I'm in all the way, baby. I like it a lot. I think it's great. I can't say it's some of the best Star Wars because it is a very slow burn. I do enjoy other Star Wars more. I'm a sucker for a lightsaber and the Force.
Sure.
This has none of that to speak of, but it really is an interesting and engaging look at how the Empire is dealing with the rebellion and how the rebellion is beginning.
There's
great.
There's a
lot of wonderful performances.
Finished it this afternoon. It struck me as reading an excellent novel, and that last episode doesn't feel huge. You're like pumping your fist, even though these are just conversations. And yeah, like Star Wars, air quotes.
Yeah.
But it's so
the Marvel movie Winter Soldier is a superhero movie plus spy movie. I like that this is a Star Wars movie plus intrigue, right?
Yeah, it's definitely like spies and intrigue. The general conceit of the show, though, is that fascism is difficult to maintain. No matter how much force is applied to it, it's still kind of keeping a dam together, right? And trying to inspire people to just be little cracks,
Gotcha.
little cracks. So the show itself seems small because it's really just kind of the show itself is just like focusing on those small moves of chessboard pieces, right? And it's not for everybody, but it's so fucking good.
It is really good. I like I like seeing Mon Mothma. TV show because she shows up in the original Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah. Senator leader.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, more to maneuver being watching her try to keep her position as a senator in the Republic or in the Empire, I should say,
Right.
Yeah.
while trying to start and fund a rebellion. Kind of shitty daughter who hates her. There's a
realize how much I was absorbing and understanding because the last episode just kind of. We'll talk about it afterwards. It really clicked. Like, yeah, it's great.
okay, cool.
We'll talk.
So recommend like we have.
Recommend Star Wars. Everybody's like hating on.
No, every is watching it and loving it. I'm the one.
Couple of episodes to get cooking.
I'll get into it.
The other thing I did this week,
No, say one less sentence because.
So, banner. I have been enjoying, for the most part, Department of. It is. The quick pitch is just the fact that it's if there was a clandestine organization that kept the truth.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's true. If enough people believe in Sasquatch, they will manifest a tulpa of Sasquatch and he will roam the woods. So it's just kind of keeping that paper trail of what the truth is. And then you have other organizations that are trying to manifest lies. And then the Department of Truth has to create new lies to subvert those lies. It just becomes an intertwined.
I've read volumes 1 and 2. We did them for book clubs. Is it still going? Does it seem like it's winding down towards a solution?
So
or to
I realized that I heard earlier today that episode issue 22 is an end, but not really.
Okay.
It's the end of the beginning. Issue 22 kind of ends at a point and then says Department of Truth. Two issues I haven't read, so you're doing you're going, but stopping it for like 5 issues.
Yeah,
because it is your antagonist, a guy by the name of Cole. The Lee Harvey Oswald.
Hey, Lee Harvey Oswald.
He is the Lee Harvey Oswald, I think. Maybe.
Spoiler.
Where all reality comes from, like.
So, like, the way that is that knows what the truth is. They don't try and fool you as the reader. So that doesn't go higher than that when it comes to like what is reality. It's usually just what the book is presenting.
No, I mean, like a question of in context, is that like, do we remember all the different versions, or are we living in like the most recent?
When they are able to make a truth hold,
then it's the truth. It's always
the truth. It will reverse engineer itself. It'll make itself true. The only thing. The only reason why they're able to decipher one or the other is because there is a room that should not exist where they keep a paper trail of the truth.
I don't understand though. That doesn't make sense.
Okay, so it's because Fort Knox. Everyone believes that gold is in Fort Knox, when in reality, it's actually a building next door that's unnamed. So enough people believed that Fort Knox... believes that under Fort Knox, where they hide secrets, so you can keep into the world because the room never should have existed. There's
that was faked. That was faked.
There's no
wait, hold on.
There's no
faked for and believed it enough. It actually happened.
Then there actually is somebody
backwards goes out.
You're telling me there's a moon?
Either way,
if there is, it's flat.
Enough. It's a very entertaining. This is issue 22. It's only chapter 15 of side stories or background about Lee Harvey in the past. breaks the momentum and it makes it a
Yeah.
boring read. So like I'm letting them collect and I'll read them in a chunk.
Ah,
Yeah, like
I-
so Sandman did that. It sounds like not as much, but then when
Seeing it without those just the main story,
yeah.
and they haven't been seeing the extra issues.
Cool.
So like there are
Yeah.
two, and if
Yeah.
he's gonna have to kill the report as it is, and as much as I would recommend it, it's just like a mood killer when leaves the interesting part and just kind of like read you a Wikipedia page about a topic. Like
Yeah.
I don't care.
Sorry,
what
you
it
said
is.
you said it was a mood killer. It's like maybe stop trying to read it to Sam in bedtime. This is not getting her.
I like to
going.
have I like to have conversations about if the moon landing was real and if Mothman exists right before bed.
I'm pretty sure
to
the
turn
moon
around.
shot JFK. Hey Lynn,
Yes, JD.
what you been up to this week?
Well, I'll tell you what. I purchased Wallace Wood's Shattuck.
Shattuck.
Now I'm going to read this straight from the book. Wallace Wood, who is a historic comic book artist and creator,
Wally.
presents Shattuck, chock full of gun-toting femme fatales, quick drawing lawmen, and snarling outlaws. This Spurs in Saddles romp is a rarely seen Western comic book.
strip.
Collected here for the first time in an original art. It features work by Cockrum and buckaroos and
Bare naked bells.
Oh.
entertain military.
Bare naked bell.
She doesn't wear shirts.
No.
Well, neither do the women in
Oh.
Shattuck.
So I don't have a lot of Wally Wood. Comic book
History.
History.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever read a
You have definitely read from issue where he fought more.
Nah.
You never read that?
Nah.
Don't win.
Okay, but
Yeah,
I
who
thought
won the
maybe
fight?
some
Fight.
Yeah.
Who won the fight?
Oh.
I see that.
page.
Really?
Be-
Let's see some of these.
Don't show the.
Dude, here you can pass
They-
this around. They're bare naked comic book that as wow in definitely had his blue area of work and
That's mostly what I know him.
but he was a phenomenal artist,
He's
artist.
really good.
He was
Oh,
unfortunately a bit of a tortured soul.
Oh, really?
And it shows a little bit in some of his writing. He is a person who eventually would, I think he killed himself in the 70s.
Oh, you.
In the late 70s. But he was a phenomenal artist, phenomenal creative. And I realized myself, I love that issue of Daredevil I mentioned to you. And I think it may be Daredevil number 4 or 14. It's very early in the Daredevil run.
Oh, right.
And it's been reprinted 1,000 times. And I realized that I didn't have a lot of Wally Wood.
Yeah.
So I wanted some more wood. So I went and I was at a comic book shop that was going out of business, and they had this one collection. And I was like, yo, I'm going to get, and they actually only got it as a special order.
Oh, I flipped all the way through to page 20.
Yeah.
There were 3 pages without boobs on them.
Nice.
Just
Okay.
3.
Those are the 3
Those
worst
are the 3
pages.
pages.
Without
Yeah.
nipples.
Yeah.
Not even just like boobs, just nipples.
Yeah, it's just so straight.
That's
But it's
beautiful
fun,
artwork.
it's fun. It's beautiful artwork.
It
Yeah,
is
it's
good.
really-
When
I
is this from exactly? Do you remember?
This is from like the
Oh,
like
this
the
came out in 2016,
well, the book,
sorry,
but
the
the
original.
strips.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
strips came out in
2014.
the comic strips are
Posthumous.
from like the 50s and 60s. He did another comic strip that they're actually the collection is out of print called Canon, which was kind of like his James Bond riff,
Oh, bitch, and
but just as like wild and you know.
yeah, Wally Wood is one of those. So like when you fall down the rabbit hole of comic book and comic book art, like we often do, Wally Wood is one of those names. It's like it's an artist's name. Like when you people will talk about like their inspiration, and it almost always ends or starts with Wally Wood.
He's
like,
there.
Like you'll hear somebody talk like Bacalo talk about Waringo, and Waringo will be like, well, actually, I learned from Wally Wood. And like it's just he is like the biggest. He should be just as big a name as
Kirby.
Steranko.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Kirby,
go
like
there.
Steranko,
Yeah.
maybe
as Steranko. And even then I might not go because Steranko introduced a whole new type of vibe to comic books.
Yeah,
and
but, like,
the pop
talent?
art type of
But Wally also
talent
didn't.
too, but I think Steranko was a tad bit more creative.
exploratory
fair.
Yeah.
with his process and the way he laid down different textures, and
Mhm.
sometimes he would actually like use photocopies and make those the backgrounds.
Hmm.
And yeah, he
And the
definitely
same
like,
and the same for Kirby did that too.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, he did. Yeah.
so like Wally is
You're right.
he's
This
up
is like
there.
workhorse.
You're right. Wally Wood is garbage.
This looks like workhorse, really solid draftsmanship.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, as opposed to like out of the box creativity.
Right. Redefining things.
Yes.
Exactly.
He also, if I understand it, worked primarily in non-superhero stuff like horror and that kind of thing, right?
He did.
Most-
That's where he made like his big name. He did do some work though for the big twos. Yeah.
But maybe that has something to do with it also, is that he wasn't working on the thing that became what
The
we
big
love
thing.
most about comics,
Yeah,
or
that's
what got
very
us
true,
into
sir.
comics, you
For
know,
sure.
that kind of thing.
That's very true.
Hey Brian, what you been up to this
Hey.
week, huh?
Oh, thank you for asking, JD.
You're very welcome.
So the new Quantum Leap show has been on for a little while,
Oh yeah.
and real quick on that, I'm loving it. The first issue was episode was a little he said episode for issue, so I wanted to balance it out. But was a little like expository network TV. Took you a little bit to get into it, but bam, it's in.
Isn't that where it's with the NBC?
Yeah, it's on Peacock is where I watch it. So
NBC.
yeah.
and seeing
and,
them Peacock the next day or some shit.
Yeah. So it's great. It's got the like heart of the original series. More of it takes place, like half of it takes place in the present. And they've got they're looking for Sam Beckett, right? And the guy running it is a guy who had been leapt into in an episode played by Ernie Hudson. And it's awesome. The person who plays Desire in Sandman is in it. And
I should finish that show.
It's good.
oh, it's phenomenal.
It's great.
It's so good. But anyway, so they're all great. Everyone in the new show is great. The new Leaper is cool. I realized also the person who plays Desire has this loud and unusual and cool dress sensibility. A few episodes in, I'm like, oh, like Al, right? He's filling that role. And so my girlfriend said, like, hey, I want to watch this. And I was like, it's based on this old show, but it's pretty old. I don't know if you like it. And she's not from America. She's Armenian. So you might not get all the cultural references and all that kind of stuff. And she's like, no, I want to start with that. So we started with that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like
It lives up to its
lives up.
Awesome.
Like I haven't watched it in a while, but I watched the reruns like a lot. We're still in the beginning, and some of these are like almost brand new to me.
Yeah.
Some of them are, well, there's like levels of how little I remember to all of these. We just today watched the one where he is an actor, an understudy for Don Quixote in Man of La Mancha, and man, it's great. I remember it because the scene is in the opening credits, but
Oh yes.
Scott, where he's like on the stage.
Yeah, I can picture it.
Yeah, it's great. It's cool seeing those scenes too. When he gets like he's about to do the thing in the end in the opening credits. He's moving into position here. Scott Bakula is so phenomenal in it, right? He's such a great actor. He has Don Quixote in the beginning. He's like kind of nervous, and then at the end, it's like, oh, Scott Bakula is playing Don Quixote for a minute, and it's great.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and the show has the character in the show, such earnestness and such heart.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Their relationship between he and Al is so cool
Yeah,
and fun
yeah.
to watch.
Was that Dean Stockwell?
Dean
Yeah, yeah,
Stockwell. Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my experience with the original
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
was I absolutely loved it.
Mhm.
And it was one of the shows that I would be at home to watch.
Yeah.
And I remember the final episode,
Mhm.
something happened in my
Mhm.
life and I wasn't
Oh, no.
there. So I've never seen
Wait,
Still?
the
hang
last
on.
episode.
you gotta
Hang
watch
on,
it.
hold on.
Yeah.
It kind of doesn't matter.
No, it matters.
Wait, hang on though. But the way it ends,
Yeah.
it kind of doesn't matter.
I don't know.
It's a great episode,
Oh, it's great.
but it kind of doesn't matter. Like the conceit of Quantum Leap
Yeah.
remains and carries forward. Like it almost
Oh.
doesn't matter.
I actually
I
saw it as a
heard-
big transition, but then I've also heard people say recently one of the most hated episodes, and I'm like, no, it is so good. And
Did
it's
you hear
not-
what the end
I had,
is?
spoiler alert, I guess for 40
For-
years ago. I heard that like he gets stuck and doesn't go home.
He does
keeps
not go
sleeping.
home.
He just goes.
but-
He just continues.
But my impression, always seeing it, it's a different kind of leap, right? And he's leapt into his own first birthday, like the day that he is born. He's seeing all leapers from other times. Al is barely in it at all. And he, at the end, leaps as himself to something, right? So I have seen it as, and then they say Sam Beckett never returned home in a misspelled title card because they weren't sure that they were going to end. I have always seen it as this was like the beginning of his leaping, and these were all him getting good at it, and now he's a level up.
Doing
his
you're
thing.
right.
Yeah.
In so much as like he never like makes it home and has the thing. That's
Yeah.
what I meant by it didn't matter.
Yeah.
But there is an autonomy to it now.
Yeah, because he
It
has
was-
himself.
It was a
and-
choice.
yeah.
Like he had been thrown for seasons everywhere, but this was like I did good here.
Right.
Next, like
There's even
and he-
some implication that
Isn't he,
he's
like, sitting
speaking
at-
with God or a very powerful
Yeah,
entity.
Isn't
in
he
the
like
last
sitting
one.
at a bar, just like tips his hat and just like chooses to leap? It's less of a. It's almost like
that
it's almost
sounds
like
about
a fade
right.
away kind of thing.
Like he's not trapped anymore.
No,
It
it's a
seems like
choice.
he's
He's
doing
got
it of
agency.
his own choice.
Yeah.
He is
But I'll
an
tell
angel.
you, the show is it really holds up in
Yeah.
terms of social position.
Yeah.
And I really like that. Like there's this woman, and she's a stripper, and she thinks that he's coming down on her, and she's like, or not coming down on her, but he's like, oh, like a tramp like me, and he's like, no, you're a stripper. That's a profession.
Oh.
Like that's what it's so he's so great.
The- A show like that is evergreen because it like baked into the sauce. It is of a period of a time.
Right.
It's not. You're not watching a show from 1974 that's depicting the 90s.
Right.
You're like it's explicitly supposed to feel of the 50s, of the 60s. So other than, and the show itself was very earnest too. So like it's dealing with things that happened during those times. So it's not cringe.
Yeah.
It's
No,
not
not at
cringe to
all.
watch because it is of
What
explicitly
year?
its era.
What's the future year that they're leaping from?
1999.
That's what I thought it was going to be something
And
silly.
I'll tell you what, watching it now, because you barely see that. Like the show is so inherently sci-fi, but it's other than Al, it's all in the
It's like
past.
once.
But when you do see, you
And
see it
his
in the very
leotard.
beginning,
Yeah.
and like it's very spottily, and Al's clothes. which
Al's
as a
clothes
kid,
throughout the series. Yeah.
Now I see it and I'm like, oh, it's because he's in the future.
Yeah.
As a kid, I was just like, Al dress is weird.
Yeah.
But the in the last episode, you see his driver's license, and it's his own driver's license,
Yeah.
right? It has a hologram on it. And I was like, we had a holographic driver's license in 1999. Like they nailed that one.
Yep.
But Al also was wearing light up brooches and stuff,
Yeah.
and we didn't. We
I-
could though.
yeah, we
We
know
could.
that.
Have it.
Around Christmas time.
You have a light up brooch.
Yeah.
I like that brooch.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, let's play a game.
What is
So,
it?
Before we move on to our main review, I have a question for you guys.
Hmm.
Would you like to play a game? I don't care what the answer is. We're going to do it.
Can we
Noel
answer?
has with him some Trivial Pursuit.
Yes, some pop culture trivia pursuit.
Cool.
Woo! So we thought it would be fun to like test everyone's knowledge in some very non-threatening and inconsequential ways.
Yeah.
So before the show, everyone decided on a decade.
Yeah.
So tonight we are playing for the 90s. We were all alive during the 90s. Maybe not watching or listening, but whatever. You're not here. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to go around the room. I'll start with Brian, and then I'll go to Len and JD. I'm going to ask the questions.
Oh, you guys, please don't type the answer in.
Oh yeah.
If you
Yeah.
know it.
Don't type the answer in, please.
However, Robert Monroe says Wood did some great sci-fi work in EC Comics,
sweet. You
and
mentioned
Carl
that.
says Thunder Agents, classic Wally. Wood.
Wait,
Yeah, that
Robert
was
Monroe,
Thunder
did he
Agents.
do your profile image? Is that him?
What?
That was a classic sci-fi.
No,
comic.
no, that looks
No,
like
but I think that is Wally. I think that is Wally
Is
Wood that
it?
did that art.
Yeah,
No,
we've
no,
talked
no,
about that
no,
comic on the show
no.
before.
Isn't
because
that
of Robert Monroe.
It's a classic EC comic.
Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
oh.
about when the spaceman who then takes off his helmet and you realize he's a black man.
Right.
Oh,
And I
think
thought
Wally
this
Wood
was
did-
the guy who was
Unfortunately.
asking Green John. I'm sorry, was asking Hal Jordan. You know, you help the green man and you help the blue man. What about the black man?
No,
No,
that's
that's a
not.
different guy.
Who am I thinking of? What's that artist?
That's Neil Adams.
Neil Adams.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Oh, thank you. Terry brought up some Wally Wood on the screen there.
Cool.
right,
Noel,
so-
go.
The first person to get 3 questions correct is the winner.
Do we get a chance to steal?
Wait, do
Oh.
we just shout it out? How do
No,
we answer?
I think we'll
It's
jump.
in a
We'll
round.
do,
He's
we'll do
asking-
separate questions
Okay.
each
Yeah, yeah.
because that could get complicated.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then the winner gets to pick a future main review.
Wonderful.
A future main review.
Yeah. So
Not
we'll-
In the
tonight.
year
not
1999.
tonight. Unfortunately, not tonight. All
He
right.
says
so,
yes. That's a Wood image. Go.
Cool.
All right. So to start, Brian,
Hey.
what is the current name of Auction Web, a company founded by programmer Pierre Omidyar's living room in 1995?
Programmer, what do you say? Pierre
Yeah.
Omidyar?
This guy.
Auction web. I'm going to say eBay.
Oh,
That's correct.
Nice.
I knew that.
One for
Auction
Brian.
One.
That's not fair.
Did you know that one?
No.
Yeah.
But
These
it's
are
not
these are like set on easy mode. I'm sorry, guys. We can find like really
I
hard
probably
stuff.
could have
We'll see
figured
how it
that out.
goes.
though.
Yeah.
Len.
I didn't know.
Yes.
That's too easy.
Wait a minute. You can't be judging them.
Len.
You just read the first question.
What
for
is
him.
your name?
All
Wait,
right,
what's
fine.
the
You
one
want
that's
this
too
one?
easy?
This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
a
yeah.
fucking gimme. What skater's name is in the title of a skateboarding video game that was released in 1999,
That's pretty
launching a $1 billion franchise?
Tony Hawk?
Oh.
Yeah.
Wrong. No, it's Tony Hawk.
It's Len.
Is there another skateboarder?
Is there
that
another
any of
skater
us can name?
like we know
Right.
his name?
Right.
Like name another skateboarder, like professional skateboarder.
Jimmy Eagle.
Bam
Bam
Margera.
Margera.
Is he a professional skateboarder?
Yeah,
He was.
He was. He
Uh,
was.
Jason Lee,
he
The
was
actor?
also.
the actor,
Really?
was a professional skateboarder.
These are not their claims to fame.
Yeah, that's not as
You
good
asked
as
me.
JD. Question for you.
Yeah.
What disbanded rockers reunited in 1993 to play "Don't Stop" at Bill Clinton's inaugural ball?
Oh shit! I know who it is.
Yeah, I knew that too.
I
Don't stop.
I don't know.
Don't stop.
No.
Thinking about tomorrow.
Do-do-do-do. Doesn't matter because I don't know the band.
Disbanded rockers.
So what they
Who
weren't
did
together at the
reunited?
time,
Yeah.
and they reunited for that.
In 1993.
How long has he got?
48
5 more
minutes.
seconds.
I don't know.
Guess any band from the 70s.
From the 70s?
Sure.
Boston.
No.
That's incorrect.
Fleetwood Mac.
That is correct.
Oh, I like
Uh,
Fleetwood Mac.
Not
they
enough.
did Don't
Clearly
Stop.
not. All right, so
Now, listen, I just got into Fleetwood Mac like last
Oh, you
year.
haven't got to that song yet.
Yeah,
Round
that's their
one.
discography.
round 1, 1 point for Brian, 1
Cool.
point for Len.
right.
Absolutely nothing for JD.
Oh.
He is a dummy.
Oh, I wish I could
Too
argue.
Brian?
Yeah.
What is the nickname of U.S. General Schwarzkopf, who negotiated
Norman
a
Schwarzkopf.
ceasefire with Iraq that ended the Gulf War and liberated
Did
Kuwait?
they think that second part would help you?
Stormy
Like if
Norman
you
is
don't
correct.
know
2 points
who
for
he
Brian.
is by Norman Schwarzkopf, you're like, oh yeah, but Norman was the name of the guy that negotiated the ceasefire.
Oh,
I
wait,
bet there's a lot of
well,
people
hold
that
on,
don't
the question-
remember.
The question only says General Schwarzkopf, not Norman.
Oh,
So
that's probably
you.
pretty-
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
But
a
I
smarty.
appreciate all the information I can get. Don't give
I
me.
didn't know that.
You don't remember that from the time?
Nope.
Okay. It's weird that that's in pop culture.
Right?
Yeah.
That is true.
Like-
You're right.
Well, you did
Uh,
have the Norman and the
Len.
Normanettes show.
Well, all of pop culture is just like
The Norman and the Norman.
Yeah.
show.
Len. What
Norman.
computer programming language which sounds more like a barista's concoction was invented in 1995?
Oh.
Oh shit.
There you go.
That's
Don't help.
I said that's good encouragement.
GIF.
Let me get a
Shut
gift.
up.
Well,
We got two
Len,
gifts.
that's the wrong
Shut up.
answer.
GIF.
It's oh fuck, I can't remember the name. It's
Barista's concoction.
5,
Oh, I know what it is.
4, 3.
Java.
Oh,
No!
Yep, that's right.
Nice.
Oh, you pulled that right out.
Nice.
The
I sure
development-
did because I was sitting on Linux.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
Took it to
HTML
Linux.
does not sound like a coffee
I was like,
drink.
Linux is not coffee.
The development team did not want a techie name, but they
Yeah.
loved coffee.
Yeah.
And now it's very techie.
Can I get the one that's what's your name?
I should pre-screen these. What 90s teen star titled his 2007 memoir Out of Sync?
Oh, the curly hair guy. The guy who's got ramen hair.
Yes.
He's
It's
an
like-
actor now.
It's like 4 of them.
It's true. Justin Timberlake.
No,
Oh, I thought it was too.
it's Lance Bass.
Who the frick is?
He's out of sync.
Another member of NSYNC.
Womp,
Justin Timberlake wasn't in
womp.
NSYNC.
Yeah, he was.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he
He
was.
was in
Who
the
was- what
Backstreet
was he in?
Boys.
Who's
No,
He was in the
guys,
What?
guys.
Was he in NSYNC?
Justin Timberlake was in NSYNC.
Okay.
Was he? Okay.
Was he?
He was, says
I don't know.
Terry.
Yeah, thank you.
Jesus.
Jesus. Terry, did you
We
know that
can't-
one?
We can't read that on air.
Yeah,
My
I mean,
son is
I
watching.
think we can.
Brian,
Hey.
for the win. Because there's a tie. Hold on.
I mean,
Because,
I
feel
like how
like Len
angry
and-
Terry is.
because there's a tie.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah.
get this,
Yeah.
then you and Len will just like question off,
Yeah.
and you're completely out of it.
Oh
Yeah.
no! I still want another question.
Okay,
Okay,
sure.
that's cool.
Thanks,
You'll be
Brian.
taking it
Yeah,
from
Brian,
my
I
question
think it's cool
off.
to do.
Brian,
Yeah.
what wild animal was reintroduced into Yellowstone National Park in the mid 90s?
Justin
Wild
Timberlake.
animal reintroduced in the Yellowstone Park. Wolves.
How the fuck do you know that?
I just know it.
The fuck out of here. It
Wolves.
was not wolves.
Yeah.
Were you not
Wolf.
aware of the wolf reintroduction?
The
No, that was
mid-nineties?
one that I like kind of knew.
Oh.
And so heard something about.
Are you?
Come on, Len. It's
Len.
on me.
What famous
You-
you lose?
Good day, sir.
So
I haven't lost yet.
You haven't
I
lost
yet.
yet.
That's
Len,
for
Len's
me.
still here.
That's for me.
What famous music festival did organizers try to recreate in New York State in '99?
Oh, I know this one.
Not in the
Yes.
original location, but in Rome, New York.
Here we go.
Woodstock.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll accept Woodstock. It was
It's Woodstock 99.
99. Yeah.
There
But
are
they
two.
say, what did they try to recreate?
Yeah.
Which
What's-
was Woodstock.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so
true.
it
The
really
question is
should be
wrong. I
was-
get a point for that. Len, you lose.
Wait,
What-
I want my question.
Okay.
Sit
What?
down, figures. He's
Yeah, that could be my question.
All right.
No, I'll
you're
get
right,
another one,
you're
it's
right,
fine.
you're right.
Who delivered the title role in The Truman Show, a
I don't
1998
know. No, but
movie
I know
about
that one.
Jim
unsuspected?
Carrey.
Yeah, that's correct.
all right. You got one.
I did it.
Yay.
I'm the world's
He's
smartest
on the
boy.
board.
I am so smart.
SMRT.
SMRT.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, I feel good.
What? No, I already read that one.
You already read it.
How?
What weekly live pro wrestling show premiered in 1993 with a debut featuring Shawn Michaels and Max Moon?
You don't know.
No, I have no idea. I knew Jim Carrey, but
Ooh.
SmackDown?
No.
Okay.
Oh, did I get a chance to answer?
Yeah, we go back and forth until both get it or
Oh,
both
okay.
don't.
On
So
that question?
that was Monday Night Raw, by the way.
I never got into wrestling.
Wait a minute. So
Yeah.
I thought I got a chance to answer.
No, a different question, back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
New question.
Jim Carrey.
Always a new question. What show included the catchphrases "Oh my Lanta, have mercy, how rude," and "Get
Oh,
you got it, dude"?
Len's got it.
Wait a minute. Because
What show included the catchphrases "Oh my Lanta, have mercy, how rude," and "You got it, dude"? It's very white.
Yeah.
It's true.
I love when we can hear
No,
Terry
thinking-
cackling.
It's not even white;
Yeah.
it's white.
I'm thinking
White.
the 90s.
It's the
Yeah.
whitest.
It's the '90s.
Yeah.
Friends.
No.
Can I?
Full
Can I
House.
know it? I know
Full
it. It's Full
House.
House.
Now I wonder, Len,
How
would you have known the
rude.
wrestling question?
Yes.
So I would have
All
gotten Jim Carrey. You
It
would have
doesn't
gotten
matter.
wrestling,
We
we'd
go
be at the
back
same
and we
place
go back
are
again.
now.
This is just
Except
like a hit
I
off.
get to have fun.
Yeah.
At what
That's
U.S.
the most
landmark?
important.
At what U.S. landmark did title character Thelma and Louise go over the edge after a carefree
I know
road
that
trip
one.
turned into a crime?
I
and
know.
caught
I believe that
police
was the
into it?
Grand Canyon.
You believe correctly.
That's correct.
Yes, okay.
correct.
I never
Also,
saw that.
I really would like to go revisit that. I just watched an
Grand Canyon?
interview with Gina Davis
Oh, very good.
about
She wrote a new book.
about auditioning for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Good movie.
Yeah, it was.
What city is the setting for the 1994 bestseller Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, which was released as a film in 1997?
New Orleans.
That was a good
I
movie.
was gonna say
Yeah.
the Garden of Good and Evil.
Savannah.
They built a city.
I'm sorry. What is?
Savannah, Georgia.
Oh,
I would've said New Orleans,
you
too.
idiot!
So Brian is the winner.
Brian
champion.
wins.
I
Yay,
swore
Brian.
that was New Orleans.
So
I was saying like, yes, Len, you're right. I thought it was a good
congratulations,
movie,
Brian.
though. Thank you, guys.
So,
Yeah, it's okay.
at an
I saw it a long
We
time
built
ago.
this city.
at a
Ba-dum,
to
ba-dum.
be determined date, you get to pick the main review.
Cool. Sounds good.
Nothing
No,
over.
why can't he pick it by the end of the show?
Well, no. Well, I mean, like
For
for
a
a
determined date.
for a
Oh,
determined date.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then yeah, we're gonna do a review.
Yeah. Speaking of the
We're
main
going head to
review,
head.
it is
Well-
now that time. However, if you guys like what's happening here,
Please tell a friend.
yeah, please tell a friend.
Like, comment, subscribe.
You can go to patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo. You can help us out there. You can just hang out with us, comment in the chats. That's the best part. Tell people about it. I'm starting to tell people about it. I feel
Bring
like,
somebody with you next week.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're-
But watch on separate computers.
Yes.
For the traffic.
Yeah.
For us.
for the traffic.
For
Yeah.
the traffic.
This
Just
is-
run 3 or 4
For the
computers.
kids.
I'm having a delightful time. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it. We're going to get into our main review, which is Frank Miller's Ronin, which is originally published between 1983 and 1984. It's by Frank Miller. You can tell because it's Frank Miller's Ronin.
Hmm.
And so I was under the impression that this was after Dark Knight Returns
Oh.
and after Watchmen.
Hmm.
I believe this preceded both of
It was
those.
83 to 88 through 84. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So here's what's it called? What's this thing?
Synopsis.
The
Right.
synopsis.
Oh.
I can never think of the word.
Words.
In the distant,
Thus, you're a dummy.
I am a dummy. In the distant past, a great lord of feudal Japan is struck down by an entity of pure evil. A young warrior sworn to vengeance becomes a masterless samurai, a Ronin, trapped in an eternal struggle with the demon who killed his master.
Hmm.
It is the near future.
Oh.
A great corporation in the urban jungle of New York City is preparing to unleash a deadly new technology. A childlike telepath and a tough-as-nails security commander are the only people who stand in its way. When these two worlds collide, dreams and reality will blur together for a final apocalyptic battle, and at the heart of the chaos, a lone swordsman will face the ultimate test of his fealty.
Did you catch what the future year is? Speaking of future years,
I don't remember. What was
it's
it?
not specifically stated, but 19 was very recently.
Yeah.
So 2019
Yeah.
was like, I get the sense, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So this was his first work, I believe Frank Miller's first work after Daredevil.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it was.
He got drafted over to DC
Mhm.
and
Denny
he-
O'Neil.
by Denny O'Neil. And he did or he had a couple of caveats in order to come to DC.
Hmm.
Yep.
He said, I wanted it to be perfect bound with a spine.
Oh.
I wanted it to be what was it? What was the rest of it? There was a couple of things.
He wanted the paper.
Oh, that's right. The whitest paper stock.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. He didn't want. He wanted very little, like editorial.
Mm-hmm.
Like he only dealt with Denny, and that was it.
Oh, see, I didn't know that part.
Yeah. And I can't remember any of his Frank Miller was pretty much like the hottest or one of the hottest comic book artists at that time.
Is that right?
And he basically single-handedly built up Daredevil into one of their top selling books. So him foregoing that and going over to DC was huge news in 83 when this happened. And he basically was able to tell them, okay, then you've got to give me the world. You've basically got to create this whole trade dress way of distributing these comic books in order to entice me to come over there and basically for me to do this.
Wait, are you saying Frank Miller just essentially willed the idea of prestige comics into existence?
Kind of.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
That's cool as shit.
Yes,
Yeah.
he
So
did.
that's a better legacy than this book itself.
As with all magazines, so there's
Yeah.
an
Well,
intro
it's
to the
prestige
version I
comics.
read.
Yeah.
As with all magazines, comics and continuity went hand in hand, and while a writer might sometimes close a small story arc, ongoing and open-ended stories were the norm. Frank wanted to tell a large story, but still a self-contained one with a beginning, a middle, and an end. If you put together all the pages from the eventual 6 Ronin books, something we did later, the idea of the trade paperback hadn't yet occurred to us, you'd have a novel-length tale with a novel's complexity and impact. I had asked Frank to tell me what he wanted, and he did. Painted color with its expressionistic possibilities, bright white, high-quality paper to do it justice, no ads, a spine so the volumes would feel like books, and the copyright in his name.
Oh, interesting.
That's probably the biggest one.
And who is this speaking?
This is no, this was
Is that Dennis?
Jeanette Kahn.
Oh, Jeanette
Khan,
Kahn.
who's the publisher of
Right,
DC.
right.
Yeah.
at the time.
So-
Many great things under Jeanette Kahn. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
auspices. Yeah.
It was an arduous task because there was no previous paradigm to work from. Everything was new. The price of the paper stock and the covers, the size of the books, the method of distribution. In the end, we were able to give Frank all the physical components he asked for except the spine. That would come later with The Dark Knight Returns. So, yeah.
And he was talking to the right audience because Jeanette Kahn, while she was the publisher of DC Comics, she came to DC Comics from the world of book and magazine publishing. So she knew everything that he was talking about and what it would do to enhance what
Did
he
she
wanted
create
to.
Vertigo and was the head of Vertigo? Who was that? Catherine Berger.
Catherine Berger was the
Right.
editor.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
So what did you think of the book, JD?
So, I read this when it first came out.
Oh.
And I'm sorry.
Right. You were 6 at the
yeah.
time? or-
I read this as a youngster.
Right.
How about that?
I lined my crib with it.
I don't think I actually finished it at the time
Yeah.
because a lot of this was a surprise to me. I think that as a piece of 80s graphic noveling, it stands on its own. I think that it is very much its own look, feel. It pulls from manga and anime a lot,
Heavy.
so much. There is a lot of Akira in here. But then I also think there are things that pull from this. The first thing that comes to mind is Samurai Jack.
like explicitly.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Another tale where a samurai and a demon are locked in battle and
Oh,
then
yeah.
travel to the future.
Yeah.
But then there's even, I thought that was the story. I thought that was it. So when things are revealed later on, there are some prizes.
Spoilers
we'll spoil
for a
them later.
45-year-old book coming out. Yeah.
We'll spoil them in a little bit. If I would say I recommend this if you are okay with books that are of a time and are very fast and loose with racial slurs.
It's also fast and loose with narrative.
Go on.
Yeah. It's I think of a time is probably the way to put it. Like it's not a very tight book. I know that one of the largest plot points is what is real and when it's real.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't like progress super well for the reader.
I found myself a little bored in the middle.
I was
Issues 2 through 5.
I didn't want to No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to like jump out of the gate being like this was boring. But it took me 4 days to read and it's only 6 issues. Like I spread it out because there were times around like issue 2 or 3 where people that I do not know who they are having conversations of things that were never introduced.
Do not know both because you're not sure who that character is and it's hard to tell who
the characters are.
Yeah.
It was so there was so much extra work and I was literally kind of glazing over.
Yeah.
It was rewarding, but it wasn't always entertaining.
Yes, that's a perfect description.
Yeah.
Len.
What do you mean by it's rewarding but not?
I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I read it.
You're glad for the exercise.
I'm glad I read it. I understand why it's celebrated. But I didn't enjoy the entire process like I would a more like kind of
like evolved with more decades of sophistication and creation behind it.
It strikes me as there's I have a tenuous relationship with Frank Miller's storytelling.
Yes.
I would put this in the category of bad Frank Miller.
Oh, I wouldn't do
that's
that.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Bad Frank Miller is still like interesting,
No.
worth reading.
No.
So like Batman.
I'm sorry,
or
is there-
Superman
is
It's
Year
not the
One.
worst Frank Miller.
Not the worst Frank
Holy
Miller.
Terror.
Not the worst Frank
Right,
Miller.
right.
Is there
But I would-
one under it like Abysmal Bank Frank
This
Miller?
is along
Sure.
with
Yeah.
the
You
Dark
ordered
Knight Strikes Back.
What's that?
This is around Dark Knight Strikes Back for me.
Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is I like this way better than Strikes Back.
I think
Yeah.
this is a step before that.
Sure. Yeah, one step up. I'll give it that.
This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. So like the man that did Dark Knight Returns,
Ugh, love it.
he's kind of there.
Yeah, you can kind of see him.
The man that did Dark Knight Strikes Again, yeah,
Also
that's
there.
that guy. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Makes
Yeah.
perfect sense because it is a very loose book. It's not concerned with. It's not that I need a book to tell me what's going on explicitly, but it's not concerned with you even catching up.
Yeah.
It's talking at you most of the time.
Mhm.
It's not really like including you in the storytelling.
I
And I
think
just don't find that fun.
if this was 3 issues instead of 6,
Yeah.
Sure.
It
I also-
started off really strong.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
It gets going and I'm like, oh, this is good.
yeah,
And I like the 80s aesthetic of it, both somewhat nostalgic, but it's a cool aesthetic. And the story like really kicks in and I'm like, we're in for a pretty good ride here.
yeah,
And then it enters this kind of morass, this like mess of a story that gets into what you mentioned, these like apparently needless racial epithets
yeah,
that are just various races. There are Nazis in it who are not in any time depicted as the heroes or anything like that,
Yeah.
but it's like
But
It-
that whole issue, it wasn't even a full issue. It was just like a
yeah,
side quest for the main character for 5 minutes.
it felt
It
like
served
longer than
no-
5 minutes.
It served no purpose for the rest of the story.
Yes.
There was
Yes.
those gangs and how they functioned in New York City
Yeah.
was never introduced.
Right.
And it served literally no ounce of fucking purpose
Walked away
for
from
the
it.
rest of the movie or
Right.
the rest of the book.
How that guy,
It was
there's
so
that
weird.
old pacifist jerk
Yeah.
who is like
that made no sense.
manipulating
Wait,
him. How is he doing this?
that
Why
was
is
that so
yeah.
that part where he had like his essentially his manager,
Yeah.
that kind of made sense because it did fall along the lines of kind of like a Stan Sakai style Ronin and the guy that
Okay.
gets you jobs.
I was just getting ready to say that.
He
That
gets
is
you
a
jobs,
trope.
that's fine.
That is a
But-
storytelling trope of old
Okay.
samurai
but
tales.
it,
Where
fair
it's
also,
like
but
a
it
bumbling.
also didn't go anywhere because that character disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what happened to him.
Nope.
He's
Just
just
disappeared.
gone. And then the story picks up again. And it was also I found myself reading it, and the Samurai Jack comparison is very valid. And I was like expecting the Ronin to be this noble, extraordinarily good, or at least extraordinarily moral, kind of dutifully moral kind of person. And he can be excused because he has no idea what he is doing. This guy is just telling him to do things and he's doing them. But about 2/3 of the way through that, I'm like, all right, it's not his fault, but I'm not looking at this guy respectfully, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He's not standing up for what's right. He's just kind of going in and chopping people's hands off
Yeah.
after calling them racial slurs. And that part lost me both for that reason and just the general story needlessness of it.
So-
you know?
What happened at the end?
Should we? All right.
No.
So all right. So Ronin,
Spoilers.
would you guys recommend this to the viewers?
No.
I might. I still liked reading it. Terry would.
Terry says I would.
I had a
I
caveat.
sense
Yeah.
by reading it.
Yeah.
Bring that last note back up.
Yeah. So if you want to get into some 80s like punk sci-fi kind of stuff,
Mhm.
this is a cool book. It's a great aesthetic experience.
Yes.
Even if sometimes I don't know what was happening,
Mhm.
there's a series of panels or pages toward the end that replicated on the bottom left a image that was very similar but slightly changing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what was that?
It took like 5
Yeah.
pages for me to realize that was the cityscape that's lighting back up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's lighting back up.
It is just a mess.
I didn't know either.
Everyone's a blackout, and it was just like a big. But either like, okay, I would not recommend this book unless you are a giant Frank Miller fan, you are a student of comic books or the format, and you want to experience something like this that is of a time and a specific type of genre from a master.
This is not something I would recommend to a lay person in the comics industry. But if you're a Frank Miller completist, if you happen to like cyberpunk meets feudal Japan, sort of. I would say it's worth the experience. I don't regret reading it. I'm glad I read it.
Ditto.
I actually read Ronin book 2 that just came out
about
Wednesday.
Yeah.
So let's get into spoilers real quick though.
Let's do it.
So let's wrap it up with spoilers. What happened at the end? So the twist of this book that I actually really liked and didn't see coming was the fact that there is no Ronin. Basically we have an AI that is named Virgo.
Yeah.
And so I thought Virgo was like chill and cool in the beginning, and
she seemed super chill and cool,
right? And then later she was not super chill
All
or
AIs
super cool.
Are never the bad guy.
And it turns out that
refreshing if they weren't, but refreshing from after 40 years of tropes.
Apparently, this whole Ronin thing was a fabrication of the AI put onto the limbless kid. Who had telekinesis
and telekinesis
and
but also telepathy.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool, actually.
It reminds me a little bit of. All right, so Philip K. Dick is one of my favorite authors, and I like his stuff a lot more than this.
Yeah.
But it reminds me a bit of a Philip K. Dickian twist.
Yeah.
The kind of thing that if I read that back then, I might have been mind blown by this twist. You know what I mean? I wasn't this time. I was a little like, oh, it went that way. I also might not have been back then because of the convoluted path to it and not figuring out what was going on and that not being seeded earlier in the story and that kind of thing. But very classic sci-fi twist of a particular era. And I was a little disappointed that the story we were told we were getting wasn't what we got, but this was cool too.
And I also like that because it is seeded a little bit. We do get hints throughout because the main character, who at the time was a black woman security, not guard, but like the head of security, has a husband. And then the next day, and obviously there's marital troubles in there that they show you.
Yeah, work on.
But like, and then immediately she's like having sex with the Ronin. And she is aware that like something's weird here, something's not going on.
Well, and that's when reality in the book started to get a little harder to.
Even she was just
track.
like
Terry's typed. She's boning the
Ronin. And the answer is yes.
Oh, boning.
There was a couple parts too where even she was kind of questioning. So like a horse. Where'd you get a horse?
Right.
Which makes me. Who was perpetuating the lie? Was it Billy exclusive? Like, was it Billy? Was Virgo manipulating Billy to create the?
I don't think Billy was aware that that he was doing.
It was all Virgo.
Yeah.
Okay,
for sure.
And like had kind of patterned Billy to do this, and almost in a subconscious or directly in a subconscious way.
She was Billy or Virgo was creating all of these like bulbous robots to kind of take the physical space of what he's seeing, which are other samurai, other
and there was
there's a Japanese character who sees what's happening with the Ronin and everything and goes, "Oh man, that's really impressive. It looks really like the TV show we used to watch." So it's all from like referencing an old samurai TV show. Which I thought was really neat.
And I think at the time when reality started to become disjointed in reality, like we were seeing different things. By that time, there had been enough difficulty in following what had happened that the impact of their reality changing was lost on me to a degree. I mean, not entirely, but it didn't have the same sort of like reality is altering. At some points, I'm just like, where do you get a horse? I don't know where he got the horse.
I didn't care.
I
at
must
that
have
point.
missed it.
Yeah,
you know, or
well, I also
whatever.
didn't care at that point, and I think it's a
Yeah.
little bit of a limitation of Frank Miller's style. Maybe not his style explicitly, but just the style in with which he decided to do this book.
It's a very specific style that I've never seen before.
No differentiation between scenes, action. Like it's all very kind of given the same approach and sheen and tone. What?
I'm going to push back on that.
Please.
I think you can see at least 5 or 6 different visual styles that Frank Miller is experimenting with here. When we see the film strips, that's in a very different style. When things switch realities, that's in a slightly different style. We even get to see a little bit of what eventually becomes his Sin City style in this, which I think was really neat.
I didn't think of this at the time, but a little Mobius.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely Mobius.
Yeah.
There was a panel in there where I was like, that's a Mobius panel.
Yeah, the line work. And,
yeah.
It's just Morbius.
It's Mobin time.
It was Mobin time. I transitioned from scene to scene, whether it was how the page was laid out or not. It was always perplexing to me. Up and down, left to right, across the page, not across the page.
Yes, I was like, do I continue from one side to the other or not?
Like, yes,
sometimes
there
it
are
seemed like
different
it didn't
styles
matter.
within it, but it almost felt like it lacked strategy as to where it was applied.
Yeah.
And it's like a page is impressive. How they're all put together left me mostly cold.
Well, I think my takeaway from it is that in 1983, Frank Miller is becoming more and more impressionistic in his work on Daredevil. And he's wanting to expand and explore that, right? While also pull from all of the different influences that he's receiving from manga, from Italian comic books,
for sure,
foreign comic books, which are not as readily accessible in the comic book stores as they are now. Like mangas weren't sitting side by side with their comic books back in
even now they're not
80s. And even now they're set off.
Usually,
but in the 80s they weren't there.
Right.
You know what I mean? You had to go to Chinatown to find this stuff, right? And then he sees artists like Mobius becoming more of a household name because, and I wanted to look it up to make sure I was right about the year.
Yeah. No, I know.
Mobius is becoming more and more of a household name at this time because Epic Illustrated, which Marvel did, which was their big sci-fi fantasy magazine anthology, is bringing more of those foreign artists and writers now to America to see and enjoy. And Frank Miller is looking for an opportunity where he can just pull from all of this. Marvel's not willing to do it.
Yeah.
DC, it can't wait to get their hands on him. And they're like, whatever you want. And that's why you have this book, which reads as a pastiche of all of his influences. And that's why some of it doesn't really jive, because he's pulling from manga, he's pulling from this person, that person.
I think you're right. But most of the problems I think would be settled if it was tighter.
No, yeah,
it's
for
just,
sure.
But that's true.
It absolutely needs to be tighter.
But again, how many times have we talked about an artist or creative not having, needing an editor to kind of like wheel them in. As tight as The Dark Knight is because Denny O'Neil edited that.
4 tight as shit prestige issues, and they are from top to bottom relatively perfect.
Yeah.
Right? There's maybe 3 excellent issues here that don't give me time to think about why this is not making sense. That just kind of like snap right through and then shock me at the end. But before we have to leave, because I know we're running on the clock, what happens at the end? What is your interpretation of this fucking conclusion?
So, okay, also real quick.
It is a giant.
That's
is there
cool.
a way I can do this
without ripping
safely?
my book.
Look at that.
That's cool.
It's cool.
Quadruple page spread.
It's cool.
So okay, let's see what happens.
So Virgo,
Virgo
Virgo tells them they have to kill the lie to see the truth. So Casey takes him through. All right, you won. You killed Agat. It's time for you to commit seppuku.
Yep.
Seppuku.
Mhm.
And just, kill yourself. And that's how we kill the lie. So they're in the lie. They're about to kill it. She cuts his head off. Everything explodes. And then he's standing there.
No, she does not cut his head off. So he commits seppuku, which wakes up the little boy that's inside of him, that's living. That all of this is made around
Billy.
Billy.
Yeah.
He's not a little boy, but like
Right,
he's,
right.
Yeah. The host body, Billy, wakes up. That causes him to wake up, and he basically uses his telekinesis to blow up all of Virgo. So this is that entire bubble that's been growing around the city for the past 6 issues.
Yeah.
And it actually destroys, much like the end of Akira.
Yeah.
There is a giant dome explosion that kills the city.
Oh no.
Oh no.
And that's what happens. And then she wakes up, and there we have the Ronin has made his way. He's still alive.
He has reassumed that form by choice now.
Yes.
Yes.
He is.
Thank you.
So he uses his telekinesis to go kablooey,
Yeah.
kills the bad guy AI supposedly.
Yeah, I was on board for all of the explosion, and then that last page of him just like,
Yeah, I definitely
Sup,
was
I'm
like,
good.
wait, how'd he come back?
like
I don't think I fully worked it out.
because
until we're talking about it now.
I was following all the way along, and I was just like, all right, so she's convincing Billy to kill himself to destroy all of this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great.
Mhm.
Oh, there's Billy.
How he
Hey, Billy's back.
Yeah, Billy.
how he resurrects, I don't know, other than maybe using the AI, which is able to replicate itself.
Right.
And so
right.
he has replicated himself a new body by taking over the AI telekinetically.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
That's,
And maybe
that's sort of
just-
what I.
The seppuku didn't kill him because he is
at
on
what-
a different.
What were they
different-
even really doing? Because it's all in his head.
Right. That could have been a
Yeah.
mental construct.
That's the other thing, is that
Right.
he may not have
Right.
been doing
And
it
she
physically.
Right.
Right.
agreed to be his second, meaning
Yeah.
I'm gonna swipe your
Like if
your
you
head
can.
off
Yeah.
when you're not doing well. And it does like kind of crescendo, if I remember correctly, her about to swing at the top of.
Yes.
So like I'm thinking she cut his head. The way it's laid out, okay, she cut his head off, and that incited an explosion
Mhm.
No.
right there.
She's going for it, and then something happens that she winds up throwing the blade, and it goes off into the distance.
The distance.
And then he grabs her and says,
Mhm.
"Shut up, mama," and that's when he blows everything up.
Okay.
Right.
So yeah, it is a little confusing.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah, I would recommend it if you're
Yeah.
super. If it sounds cool,
I would recommend
Robert
it.
De Niro's Ronin.
That was a good movie, and I
never
remember
saw
a
it.
great car chase.
Yeah.
At when I was in high school.
I would
Yeah.
I would recommend it to very specific people.
Yeah.
If you've already made your way through Watchmen, Dark Knight
Yeah.
Returns, V for Vendetta, and you have to get to another big classic
Yeah.
hardcover,
You do
Or
Swamp
if you
Thing.
just want,
And then you do-
yeah, there's actually
Yeah,
a
there's,
lot
like,
of
so
different
many more
comic
you know what
things
I'm
first.
saying. You know what I'm saying.
But if you want to read sci-fi of that era,
Yeah.
this is not a bad example
Yeah.
of that either.
you
You
know
know,
what? Have-
I'm not saying it's
Inkle?
the example.
So I'm reading this, I kept thinking this would be a better movie.
Hmm.
This would be a better
I
show.
could see that.
This would be
Yeah.
a better movie.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to see it visualized because I was, as much as I was interested in pieces of it, the experience of it was tedious.
Well, I think also this type of sci-fi is that kind where the thing that you saw on the front cover is not at all what's happening,
Yeah.
which is a very specific kind of subgenre of,
Mm.
like, oh, this magic thing all turned out to be this one thing from the very beginning that you didn't know about. And
Finish your thought.
if you like that, check this out.
Yeah.
But really, what TV series portrayed the professional and personal life of accident-prone Tim the Toolman Taylor?
Home
Improvement. Boys to Men.
Yeah. Who the wife? That's correct, JD.
Thank you.
The wife from Home Improvement was on an episode of Quantum Leap. That's
What?
another fun thing
That's
of
not-
seeing like.
first of all, Patricia Heaton, not in the card.
No, this is a separate time.
Oh yeah.
No, it's fun to watch that and be like, hey, that guy. I know that guy.
Yeah.
This guy went on to have a long career. That kind of thing.
Uh,
That's a fun aspect of it.
Nice.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. is better.
So the other thing is that this week Frank Miller Presents, I think is his new company.
Yeah.
He is not drawing it.
Who's
There's
drawing it?
Tan.
Philip Tan.
Cool.
It actually is a very good looking book.
Cool.
Drawing what?
He's drawing Ronin book 2, first issue of which hits comic book today. Today's Wednesday.
Yeah.
So
Wednesday.
yeah, you can go. I read it today. Immediately after this one, there it is. You can't see it, but it's up on the screen.
We can see it.
And
That's all that matters.
it's actually, it feels a lot like the original one, except there's a baby. Now it's like Lone Wolf and Cub. So basically, I don't see the Ronin character, the Billy character, but we do get Casey
Cool.
and her little son.
Ronins?
So I would
Or-
that sounds cool.
Little baby Ronins.
Do you still have it on the shelf?
I do.
Can you put one in my box?
I
Yeah,
will.
give me one of those too. Will you?
Yeah, you got it.
I'll
all right.
read the first issue. I'd love to
And
give that a shot. Maybe we'll talk about it next week.
Ooh, probably.
Maybe.
Ronin Monroe. Robert Monroe Jr. says, I haven't read Ronin in years. Maybe I'll dig out my copies and reread it.
Don't do it.
Do it, Robert.
Don't
and
do
let us
it.
know.
Don't
Why
do it.
don't you
Ronin,
tell him there's
Ronin
something
Monroe
he's interested
Jr.
in doing?
Len, you're speaking from a position of
Hey.
experience because you read it a long time ago, and then
That was it.
Has your life changed since revisiting it very recently?
No.
Yeah.
No, not at
So
all.
when you read it today, what was your favorite part? A little peek behind the sausage. Len didn't read the book
Again.
that we decided to talk about today.
Again, I didn't read it again.
Yeah.
he did read it, right?
I did
right.
read it
Yeah.
at one time.
You peek in sausage. It's a sausage curtain.
Yeah. Oh. You
Curtain of
peeking sausage. All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us despite some of our technical difficulties. Hopefully, this was still a fun experience for you. It certainly was for me. And did you just throw me under the bus?
We have
no.
an AI talking to us.
Yeah.
This whole time.
I create things of creation. Create.
It's gaining self-awareness.
Creation, create. We're Rob Burgundying this right now.
Yeah.
Just like everything that goes on the screen. Read it.
Unique New York. So join us next
Whale's vagina.
week when we will be
next week we're gonna do a round robin of current comic books that have come out in the last couple of weeks.
including Ronin 2.
Yeah, so Ronin 2 I think will be one of them. We'll talk about it after.
The new Golden Age.
is a big
So
DC
so
book.
what I figured
We'll
I
see.
would do
Yeah.
is I'll throw out 15 books.
Yeah.
Everyone reads like 3. We'll see if there's overlapping. If not, you're just going to talk about a book that you read and you liked.
Cool.
Okay.
That's it.
Sounds good.
And we'll go through the motions.
All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We love you, and we will talk at you later. Bye. And broadcast, Cherry.
End it.